Hi, my name is Alan Medeiros with Agape Mortgage, and I'm a mortgage professional.
And I'm Anselmo Moreno with Innovative Credit Solutions, and I'm a credit consultant.
How you doing today, Anselmo?
I'm doing well. How are
I hear
you?
you're training really hard. You're one of those athletes, huh?
I'm a weekend warrior. Yes.
Well, getting me out of the chair and away from my desk is the hardest thing to do. So when I get home, the first thing I think about is eating, and number two, sleeping. So, you've motivated me. I mean, look at how fit you are. But anyways, the listeners can't see you, but that's okay. It's kind of funny. I work in mortgage finance, and I deal with credit. But I have a client ask a great question. What is a credit score, and is there a difference between a credit score and a credit report?
That's an interesting question because some of this information we take for granted. And there's actually a very big difference between a credit report and a credit score. A credit report is actually a report that's full of data that your previous creditors have furnished over to the credit bureaus. And we'll talk about credit bureaus as well, but the credit report is typically going to encompass your past 7 years, and it's going to have a detailed information as to how you perform when it comes to paying your monthly obligations. More specifically, if you pay them on time or not. That's what the credit report is generally going to convey. It's also going to have a historic breakdown of any accounts that were sent to collections, and also any public record data. So anything that's related to judgments, bankruptcies, tax liens, that type of information is typically going to be found in a credit report. And the credit report is then graded or scored by a particular math model. And this math model is what is called a credit score. The sole purpose of the credit score is to just determine what kind of risk you are. And this number is calculated by the information on the credit report. So they're completely different. However, they work together to help lenders make better decisions. Typically, the higher your score, the better the risk you are going to be to the lender. And the lower your score, the higher risk you're going to be to the lender. And what risk we're talking about here is specifically whether you're going to pay on time or not. Nothing else. So it's not really looking if you were going to pay at all. It's looking if you're going to pay on time, because many people pay, they just pay late. And
it's funny because in my industry, one of the things that we jokingly talk about is that we're talking about 30 years worth of payments on average from most of the borrowers. And we as banks want to know you're going to repay that debt. And
on time.
One of the things that we use as a primary criteria is looking back on a credit report and then looking at a score that's generated based off of your payment history. So that's awesome. I really appreciate you clarifying that, and hopefully our listeners got something out of that. So, for all of you listeners out there, one of the things we always like to say is life happens, move on.